Hello, everybody. Brenna here.
And I'm Gabby.
And this is the Mystery of Everything podcast. We're back and we're better than ever.
Probably.
Hopefully. And now we're on video.
Yay.
We're on the tube. And today's episode is going to be an interesting one. I'm not going to say it's going to be a fun one. Because when I started writing this, like researching to write it, I was like, oh my God, that sounds like so much fun. Feral children.
Was it fun?
It's not fun. It's just really, really sad. It's really, it's really fucked up to say the least.
Before we start, was it George of the Jungle? Who married Jane?
It was Tarzan.
Right, was he a feral child?
So, George of the Jungle, no. Tarzan, no. But Mowgli, the inspiration for the Jungle Book, there was a real life Mowgli.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
See, and when I first started writing, I was like, how cool being raised by wolves. It's not
Would it be cool?
It's just sad. It's very sad and morbid. We'll dive into it. Okay, so we're gonna start with describing the known cases of children that were raised by animals and in isolation, not just raised by animals, but we're gonna dive into different aspects of things that come into play, like their language acquisition and human developmental windows. And we're gonna start with someone named Oksana Malaya, which I have a picture of her in the Google Docs.
Oh, is that her?
Yeah, that's her.
You remember Fred?
Gab.
No, I just saying that's what it reminded me.
I do remember Fred. Oh, Oksana. She does look like Fred. So Oksana was found when she was 8 years old, and she was found in the woods outside the home of a woman in Ukraine. Isn't it like super cold there too?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
How did she survive?
How would you... I didn't even think about that until now. How would you survive winters being raised feral? But Oksana's story is a sad one. She was born in Ukraine in 1983 to alcoholic parents who were not taking care of her. All of these are really sad. I know. The whimsy is gone. Like, you know, the Jungle Book with like Blue the bare necessities. They weren't singing. Oksana wasn't singing. It's not funny, it's sad.
It is so sad. Why would you do this? How do you not take care of your kid?
No, so she lived outside the house in the shed in the backyard with the dogs from the age of 3 until she was found. And it took 5 years for neighbors to notice the situation and notify the police, which how in the hell would it take you 5 years to pick up on that going on beside your home? I don't want to judge, but I'm kind of judging because I'm the nosiest neighbor. And I people watch. I don't have much else going on. So I know the name of your dogs. I know what time you feed your cats. I know everything about your life if you live beside me. But anyways, it took 5 years for the neighbors to notice the situation, notify the police, which good that they eventually notified the police. Oksana said that when she was young, her parents wanted a boy and not a girl, so they forced her out of their home.
How many kids did they have?
They had multiple kids, yeah. So she told 60 Minutes in an interview, like when she was older, that, quote, Mom had too many kids and we didn't have enough beds.
So they forced their...
Do like that one lady does on the TikTok that everybody hates. And
the motel?
Yeah. How did you know?
Oh, gosh.
The motel. We're not going to get into her, but she's got a lot. But I mean, worst case, rather than put your kid in the shed, pile them all up in one big motel room, sweep the ceilings.
Didn't have like bunk beds. Heck, the floor and some blankets.
Literally the floor and some blankets. Anything's better. But she followed the family dog named, I think it's Nadia, into the dog kennel shed and became dependent on the stray dogs to keep her warm and share food with her. So there were other dogs other than just hers. I guess like a pack was formed.
They had a family dog, but they put their kid out.
They couldn't take care of their child.
The priorities are wild. They don't CPS.
But also like taking care of your other, well, I don't know if they were taking care of their other children, but you have other children that still live inside the home and are functioning as children So I just can't imagine a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's wild to me. She didn't have any human contact for the next 5 years. She ate scraps and raw meat, lost the ability to speak, and she would run on all fours and bark, whine, or growl to communicate. She would also pick things up with her mouth rather than using her hands. So legitimately just she became a dog. They treated her like their family dog. When the police found Oksana, the pack of dogs that raised her were so protective of her that they wouldn't let the police get near her. They had to lure the dogs away with food to be able to take her away from them, which is sad, but then also you're like, those dogs really loved her.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, very terrible situation, but it's kind of heartwarming that the dogs, like, actually, the dogs loved her more than her family loved her. She would then be moved to an orphanage and placed in therapy where she did eventually learn to speak again. And from where Oksana was in isolation for an extended period of time at an age where brain development is taking place, she, of course, never fully recovered. And she now lives in a care home for people who have special needs. Because I don't know how you'd come back from that. Your early years are like the most important years period when it comes to brain development.
Did her parents get arrested? I'd imagine.
I would imagine her parents had to get arrested. It didn't really elaborate on
I'd be
that.
like really pissed if like my parents had other kids but put me in a shed
But
with
why
wild
you? And
dogs.
she was 3, so it's not like it. I mean, it's not like they were like, "Oh, well, she misbehaved, so we put her outside." Like she's
Actually,
3.
Steve came to me with a story the other day where it was something similar, I think, where they were punishing their kid by locking her, I think, in a shed, and it was this really young girl. And when they found her, they were like, "Oh, we're punishing her because she's such a terrible girl," and they didn't want her to corrupt, like, because it was his, I guess,
Corrupt the
stepdaughter.
other
Yeah,
kids.
to corrupt his other daughter or something. And it's so, so sad, Steve said, because when he was watching the little report on it, the video on it, she was hungry, so they were giving her like they gave her some snacks, and she was trying to share with all of the cops who were there with her. And I was like, he was like, I can't
That's
show you that
sweet,
because you
baby
will
angel.
cry, and I would have cried. Like I'm tearing up thinking about it right now.
That
Like
is so sad.
I also just don't understand because I think it was her mom, like it was her mom's she was her mom's full daughter, but like her maybe her step like it was her stepdad or something. But I think there's like male-centered women where they would put their husband before their
Oh,
kid, which is
100%. There's women
insane.
that will sell their.
That's wild.
Yeah. Now, where were we with Oksana? She works on a farm and she takes care of cows and horses, and she even has her own pet dog, which is like full circle because dogs were what loved her. Now she loves on dogs. The article I read says that Oksana loves being in the company of people nowadays and enjoys making people laugh. And it also said that her biggest dream in life is to meet her mother again one day.
Why? I mean, I guess if you grew up without
Yeah.
a mom,
You're
you'd want to
always
meet your
gonna have,
mom.
yeah. Maybe it's trauma related. Maybe, I don't know. I am glad she's in a place where she's loved and cared for, though, and it is a perfect example of why humans suck and dogs are great.
I wonder what happened to the dogs.
Her dogs.
They probably missed her so much.
I like to think that maybe CPS looked into the case when the police got there, and then they rescued dogs. That's probably not what happened.
Probably not.
Probably not. So that's the case of Oksana. Very sad. And then next is another equally sad case. I laugh because I'm uncomfortable. They're not funny. They're all
Why?
sad.
This is so sad. I
Okay,
think
next up is Dina Senishar. So, well, as I was typing, I'm beginning to think all these are going to be absolutely devastating, and none of them will actually be like the Jungle Book. And I was right. None of them are actually like the Jungle Book. Dina was discovered as a little boy in the Indian jungle, and Dina had been raised by a pack of wolves,
like actual wolves.
actual wolves, which I don't want to say that that's like slightly cooler than dogs because none of it's cool. But could you imagine being raised by a pack of wolves? I couldn't. But there is speculation that Dina is the inspiration for the Jungle Book. So he is the real life Mowgli.
So what year?
1867 is when he
Wow.
was found. He
Wow.
was found by a group of hunters that were traveling through the forests of Baldenshar. and they found Dina moving around on all fours and being followed very closely by a pack of wolves. They weren't like hunting him, they were just like staying very close to him because the hunters, you know what I mean?
What do you think stops the wolves from, like, actually preying on?
That's what I was wondering. Like, how do they differentiate between this is food or like what makes them differentiate between I need to protect this versus I need to eat this?
I mean, are there a lot of wolf attacks? I feel like it depends on how close you'd get, but maybe they just aren't that. I don't
I
know.
don't know. Or maybe they like watch the child for a while. I don't know, because Lou's very protective. My Doberman is very protective of Gus. Like you can tell that it brings out her mothering instincts, which I would never leave them alone together because I love dogs, but dogs are still dogs, and you got to be cautious with dogs and children. But then some dogs, for instance, and I'm not saying like the breed thing, I don't want people to come after me, but huskies are more prone to attacking newborns in cribs, just statistically speaking.
Yeah.
And I don't maybe it's like the high pitched noise that newborns are making, or maybe they're viewed kind of as prey because I don't know, like babies I don't know, but it makes the husky's prey drive go off, and something in them thinks I need to attack. So I don't know, maybe high pitched noises. So I don't know what would make them look at a child and be like, "Oh, okay, I need to protect."
So, wolves can attack humans, but it's extremely rare. It usually happens when they're provoked or they got used to, like, human food or they're starving. So, maybe.
So if he's just wandering around the woods in the same place that they are,
And he
then
wasn't a threat. They were
no,
like, "Okay, this needs help."
they would probably pick up eventually that okay, if he was gonna try to hurt us, he would have done it by now. And then
What happened to his parents? Why did he end up in the middle?
so we don't know with him or how long like he had been there,
Huh.
or hunters found him. And like I said, the pack of wolves was like following closely, but the story does get sadder because after the wolves retreated into a cave, the hunters set the mouth of the cave on fire to force the wolves out, and then they killed the wolves. They did it to rescue the child. But also, can you imagine Dina, like the poor little baby, just that's all that he's known and loved, and then the hunters are that's supposed to be her rescuers, and then they're setting wolves on fire.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't think, oh, okay, I can trust these people if they're setting my family on fire.
I'm assuming he didn't trust them.
No, his story's not.
It doesn't end well?
No, it doesn't end
No
well.
farm.
He doesn't farm. No. So he sees his entire family get murdered, family of wolves get murdered. He was around 6 years old. He apparently avoided the hunters when he was discovered. But his story is especially sad because he was never able to adapt into human society. They did make efforts to like teach him language and how to behave like humans do, and all of the efforts made were unsuccessful. He was never able to walk upright. He would frequently chew on bones to sharpen his teeth. He preferred to eat raw meat rather than any other food. He was never able to speak or connect with humans, and he would howl and growl to communicate. He did learn to dress himself, though, after some time, and he also learned how to smoke cigarettes, which you do you. Get it where you can. If smoking cigarettes makes you happy, then I'm glad that he found some sort of happiness.
Yeah.
He did make a friend while in the orphanage that he was in, which was another feral child, and the child taught Dina how to drink out of a cup. But then he died at around 35 years old in 1895 from tuberculosis.
So he was rescued at 6 and
Mhm.
I mean,
Or around 6. I don't know how they would be able to tell definitively that he was 6. I mean, maybe by
probably.
bone growth, teeth, and stuff,
Yeah.
but he learned how to drink out of a cup and smoke cigarettes, and he did make a friend. So he might have not been like thriving, but I don't know, it's sad. His is just sad. It
Yeah.
almost makes you wonder, like, would he have been better off just
With the
being with
wolves.
wolves? Yeah, which is to say,
Well,
but
not really, because he lived till 35. The wolves would have died, like, way before that. The wolves that at least he
do
knew.
packs of wolves like
Well, they would have had kids,
oh
but
yeah, because like we see with tigers and lions that it's the same like pride or whatever, and they just the leaders of the pack kind of switch it up because they continue to birth new males come in and all that. But overall, it's still the same family structure. So is that the same with wolves? I don't know.
I don't know.
But if it is, then maybe I don't know. That one makes me sad because, like, would he have been more comfortable with wolves? He didn't really get a happy ending. The next one, it's not funny, but my next note says, okay, so all of these are just going to be sad. So everybody just strap in. Mystery of everything's back. Just cry your eyes out.
This cannot be. This is not the tone. Brenna just.
This is not the tone. I don't know. I was like, this is going to be a fun and exciting episode full of feral children. And I dropped the ball.
I think you just wanted to dampen their excitement a little bit so they could focus, you know? Because if they're like, yay, my favorite podcast ever, you know?
I needed to dull it down a little bit so you all can handle what's happening. So this one is John Cispugna. And when I seen his, again, I was like, all right, this one's going to be cool because it's monkeys. Extremely sad. Again. So John witnessed his father murder his mother when he was just 4 years old, and he ran away from his home in Uganda. He ran into the jungle and lived with a troop of vervet monkeys for 3 years. Living with monkeys does sound cool, but not under the circumstances that happened to John. He was found in 1991, and his family of monkeys tried to save him from his rescuers by throwing sticks at them.
Oh.
That one gets me in my heartstrings because monkeys are very intelligent, very close to humans, and
But if his father murdered his mother and then he ran away, like, did his father not search for him? Or, like, when his father got arrested, he wasn't like, oh, my kid's missing?
someone help my baby.
Like,
No.
maybe he hated the mom. Did you also hate your kid?
Hate your child.
Like a 4-year-old.
Just let him out there raw dogging life with some monkeys. John was taken in by an orphanage and he did learn to speak and he enjoys singing. He recalls his past and remembers being in the jungle for a few days alone when 5 monkeys gave him some food. They also taught him how to search for food and how to climb trees and how to survive in the jungle. So that one is more Tarzan vibes.
Yeah. And at least not as depressing.
Not as depressing. It was only 3 years, which is, I say, it was only 3 years. Like, 3 years is a long time to live in the jungle with monkeys. I would not survive. As a 29-year-old, I would not survive in the jungle alone with monkeys for 3 years.
I wouldn't. I don't like sleeping outside. So.
I do like sleeping outside, but.
Also, we live in Kentucky. It's ice outside.
It is super right cold. Next up on our list is Marcos Rodriguez Pantoja. In the majority of the cases I've seen, the child lives in the wild for 1 to 5 years. In this case, Marcos lived in the wild for 12 years.
12 years?
12 years. Marcos was an abandoned child around the age of 7 is when he was abandoned in 1953. He was left alone in the wild to fend for himself. See, that's kind of wild to me.
A 7-year-old?
Yeah, that's a lot. And it says he was left alone in the wild to fend for himself. I don't know. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around how all these people are literally just ditching their babies. And at 7 years old, you're old enough to be able to grasp concepts of like what's going on around you. I mean, 7-year-olds are intelligent.
Joya's been watching history videos on YouTube and asking the most elaborate questions, and she's reading chapter books now, and she understands the world and how it works and like human relationships. So like at 7 years old, you'd feel the rejection if you're left.
Yeah. So could you imagine just driving out into the woods and being like, all right, Joya, this is it for you. Go on, girl. And just.
Yeah, that's horrifying. That's crazy. Does he remember?
Yeah. He's the one who told people his story. He said that he was raised by wolves who protected and sheltered him, and that he lost the use of language and instead would communicate through barks and howls. Which again, at 7 years old, you're fully speaking sentences, but I guess after 12 years out there by yourself, not having any human communication with others, you would lose that ability pretty fast. I don't know, I only speak one language. He was found after 12 years hiding in the mountains with a deer skin wrapped around him to keep him warm. and he did try to run away from people, but they were able to catch him and take him to a nearby village. He was then taken to a hospital ward of a convent in Madrid and was taught remedial education from the nuns for a year. He has been living successfully among humans, but also has been taken advantage of through the years. He said, "For most of my life, I've had a very bad time among humans."
Haven't we all? But no, that's like horrific.
That is
I
really
just want to
sad.
know the psychology behind wolves because is it like a mother, like a female wolf with maternal instincts that's like, okay, I'm going to take care of you? Or is it just like,
Like this scene in Tarzan where the gorilla's like, "I'm your mother now,"
yeah.
but with a wolf. Who is it? It's not Tarzan. It is the Jungle Book. Mowgli, yeah, Mowgli's raised by wolves before the bear takes him in.
I remember
You
Jungle
don't
Book because there's
remember?
a really big snake, I'm pretty sure, in there.
There is. Mhm.
Anything with a snake is erases my
Yep.
memory. Except the basilisk in Harry Potter is not scary. It looks more like a dragon, which I'm okay with dragons and any other thing. Just something about the coiling of the snake freaks me out.
The Harry Potter just vibes. I see. It doesn't creep you out at all.
No.
No. Parseltongue, snake language. I love Harry Potter. All right, next. I'm so sorry, guys. Like, this is supposed to be fun and upbeat, and here I am just bringing down the house.
Is this one gonna be worse?
They're all sad. There's
This
not a
whole
single.
episode is literally just some people shouldn't be parents. For real.
It literally is. And I don't know why. In my mind, whenever I picked this topic, I wasn't thinking that these kids are raised by wolves because of abusive, shitty parents.
You thought they got lost or like
Yeah,
plane crash?
literally, like just something like extenuating circumstances. Mother died in childbirth in woods, and I don't know. I
That's
don't know.
not.
That's
But
sad.
then a newborn is less likely to survive. It's like out the womb.
Newborn taken in by kangaroo and suckles on inner teat inside pouch.
That's what you thought you'd find.
I didn't think it would all be child abuse cases. And it is. All there's got to be a case out there somewhere.
Of a feral child that had a not so traumatic
Not so,
experience.
which it's
I feel like
still,
that's impossible. That's an impossible ask.
it is. You can't have
Because
Jungle Book stories.
if your kid gets
Tarzan's parents
lost,
died from jaguar.
if your kid gets lost, you'd immediately like go looking.
You go looking. You have to die. The parents have to die for it to be.
Or just be like the utmost piece of like garbage human
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
kid to actually be. I don't know. Maybe like a plane crash, but then you wouldn't think to look because everybody would be dead. But even if a plane crashes, you would look because the plane crashed.
Like the movie Lost. Not movie. That's a
It's a
TV
TV
show.
series. Okay, so go to Patreon if you want to see everything we just rambled about. And
Yeah,
more.
And more, because Lord knows we're going to do more rambling.
Well, we'll revisit it at the end. We'll revisit that topic. How we'd survive or not
Lord
survive.
is born a rambling man. Ivan Mishukov.
Mishakov. Yeah.
Ivan Mishakov. Look at that poor little baby. In that picture, I just want to scoop him up in my arms and give him a little hug.
Oh, was
looks
he
so
Russian?
sad. Yeah. He ran away from his abusive parents in 1996 when he was 4 years old. Aren't these all sad? They are all sad.
4-year-olds are like, they don't do any. I don't know. Maybe I just love the toddler stage where they have opinions and thoughts. I don't care if they like throw tantrums. It's just like, I'm just so
Yeah.
glad you can express yourself because the baby years when they're not doing much, I'm so bored. I'm like,
Well, Gus is just now getting to the point where he's very talkative, but he's not saying anything. But he's very expressive with his hands. So he's like, and just literally making noises, but he's got a lot of attitude in what he's saying. And then he'll just stare at his hands and be like, what? Which, I mean, he already he's almost a year old, so he's like found his hands, but sometimes he gets a little carried away with those bad boys.
I just can't imagine even being mean to like, I don't understand. I don't understand.
I don't understand. I don't know. And why? I don't know why some people have babies. So, 4 years old when he ran away in 1996. That's the year I was born. He formed a strong bond with a pack of stray dogs, much like Oksana that we talked about, and they helped each other to survive, the dogs and Ivan. Ivan would beg people for food and he would scavenge for it. And that's another thing too is he would beg people for food, which means that people saw him living with packs of dogs and nobody thought to help a 4-year-old begging you for food.
In 1996.
In 1996, no one thought,
Maybe it's a
"Oh, I should help this baby."
different culture. I don't know what culture specifically,
I don't know about it. I
but
don't know. And he would also share the food that he did find with the dogs because he's a sweet baby angel. The dogs would keep him warm at night and protect him from danger. He was observed living with the dogs, which again, like, I'm sorry, but how do you see a 4-year-old living with a pack of dogs and you just go on about your day? Like, oh, I'm on my way to work. Here, I'll give you a little scrap and then I'll be on my way.
so there's some countries that I've specifically been told by people from those countries to not go to if I don't want to be incredibly sad because of that. It's not like they're not with packs of dogs, but just like begging and stuff, like kids. So I'm like,
I would
I would be
die.
cooked.
My
Like I
heart.
could not do
How
that.
could you just how could you just walk by the situation and I'm making myself very sad now. And I'm hormonal right now too.
Oh, you're crying. Oh no, I don't have any tissues in here.
I just pictured it and I was like those poor babies. Okay. Moving on. Why did I even write this episode in the first place? From observers, they said that he appeared to be the leader of the pack though. Again, what observers? You're terrible people. I'm sorry. When Ivan was captured, 2 years had passed by. He was biting and snarling at the people that were trying to catch him, and he was brought to a home for children. Ivan did adapt back into society normally.
That's
So,
good because I think
yeah.
he seemed really smart for a 4-year-old to run
To
away. Like,
know, like, oh, I'm being abused, so I'm going to run away from the situation.
and then begging for food and stuff. I don't know.
And then he
It's
shared it with the dogs. And the fact that he was observed being the leader of the pack of dogs, too. Like, I'm not the leader of my pack of dogs at home.
nobody's really leading her. Okay,
I'm not. Like, they
Steven,
know that I'm not top dog.
they listen to Steven. I think they only listen to me because they want cuddles. And that's like
Do
all the
they think
control.
that Steve is the alpha?
I don't know if they go by an alpha system. I just know they like Steve a whole lot.
My dogs go by an alpha system, and I am not the alpha. Very clearly, I am not the alpha. So, Victor of Averon is next up, and Victor of Averon is considered to be one of the most famous of the feral children, according to my Google research. I don't know what I don't know what qualifies him, but he does have multiple books written about him. He was a French child in the 1800s, technically 1798, who was captured multiple times because he would escape each time he was captured. I don't blame him. If I was a feral child, I probably would run away if people are trying to capture me too.
Have you met people?
I
I'd definitely run away.
If this episode has taught you anything, it's that humans suck.
Yeah.
Humans suck. It's thought that he was around the age of 9 when he was found for the first time, and he was found in the woods of Averon, naked and running around on all fours. He had been digging for food, eating roots and acorns, and was covered in scars. When they would try to put clothes on Victor, he would remove them every time. He responded to them with sounds as his way of communication. We do not know if he was raised by animals or not, though. It is theorized that he was because of how he responded to human interaction, but he wasn't found with any other animals in his general vicinity. Um, yeah. So he's one of the cases where not being raised by animals, but I guess being raised in isolation, or I guess he could have been raised by animals. We don't really know. It's an educated guess. He was called Wolf Child because of the belief he was raised with wolves, but there is no proof. He was brought to Paris to be studied by scientists, one of which was Dr. Jean-Marc Gaspard Ettard. Dr. Jean-Marc, you all are going to come for me too, the people that actually speak French. You're going to be like, did you not look up his name? I do look up the names because you all have came for me before. I don't retain the information. I do look them up. But Dr. Jean Marc wanted to civilize him. He gave him the name Victor because it means the conqueror, and he really wanted him to be successful in his education.
That's
So
sweet.
that is sweet. Dr. Jean Marc actually cared about him. Jean Marc had an assistant named Madame Guerin who started a sensory stimulation program for Victor where they tried to teach Victor different sensory concepts like wet versus dry, hot versus cold. Victor did eventually learn to enjoy warm baths, being in clean and dry clothes, and he was able to eventually handle people touching him. So, like, I assume at first human interaction was a no go. Understandable if you'd been living in solitude. He was never successful in learning to talk. He did learn to read, though, which I thought was super interesting that he wasn't able to like communicate verbally, but he was able to read.
Honestly, I think there's a lot of like nonverbal people who can still
Yeah.
commute, you know? So
Yeah.
maybe he just
Maybe it was I wonder if it was like a preference though. I don't know. I don't know. They started with the identification of shapes and then moved on to the identification of letters. And then they began pairing items found around the house with corresponding pictures that had the names of the items on them. And this method worked. Victor was eventually able to somewhat communicate his wants and needs. Again, not verbally, but like with pictures and reading. Dr. Jean Marc called attention to the critical roles of just how important human interaction is in the early stages of life and how important language development is in early years, and he helped pave the way for modern understanding of developmental psychology.
hmm,
Although some people think Victor was severely mentally impaired, I don't feel like that's the case. I feel like he was just fully surviving on his own in the wild for so long that, like, of course, you're not going to be able, well, not everyone is going to be able to just bounce back from that and thrive after being on your own for so long.
oh yeah.
There are also other theories that Victor might have been on the spectrum. Again, might have, who knows, but like you're not going to be a big fan of clothes if you've been naked for however many years. You're not going to be a big fan of human touch if you've went without human touch for many years.
I'm not a big fan of clothes or human touch, and I've had them
Exactly.
forever. So I get it.
I still have to like prepare Gab for when I'm going to give her a hug.
Everybody sometimes I accidentally Steven, like, grabbed me, like, from behind to hug me, and my rings went up and hit him in the it was like a reflex, and I'm
I
like
could just picture you being like, "Ha!" like, throat punch.
it's just I'm not comfortable with it. I just, like, 11 years I've been with that guy, and I'm like, "Do not touch me,"
Some
without
people just don't do touch. My sister Raven doesn't do touch, and I force it on her like a leech. She can't stand it. I'll try to kiss her too because I'm just that big of an asshole. All right, so next on our list, Marie Angelique Meme Leblanc. Marie Angelique is known as a rags to riches story. She lived in Sangy, France, and was found wearing animal rags, which I guess, like, I take that to mean animal skin.
Mhm.
So I don't know what else it could mean. I'm not entirely sure. She was found in 1731 in an orchard stealing apples. And I also think it's interesting that a lot of these cases, they just eat, like, a lot of them eat meat. I guess it literally depends on what animals you're being raised by in the wild. Because, like, for instance, the last case we talked about, he would dig for roots and eat stuff from the ground, but we don't know what animals, if he was even raised by animals. But then you look at the children that were raised by wolves and they eat like raw meat. That's their
Yeah.
preference. And then Marie Angelique would steal apples from orchards. So I just think it's interesting, depending on what animals they were raised by, what their preference of for getting food is. Or
Maybe
if
just,
they,
like, availability?
I was gonna say if there even is a preference or if just whatever's close by. So her age is very questionable because she was estimated between the age of 10 to 18, which is a pretty significant gap. The story goes on to say that villagers sent a bulldog in her direction, I guess to kill her. Why would you send a dog on the girl who is in like starving in rags trying to feed herself? And then that makes me think of Aladdin and the starving kids where they're like, "Oh, kill him because he stole bread." So I guess it does in some societies, even if you're starving, they don't give. Uh, I need to watch my mouth. They don't care. They don't care in some societies if you're starving or not. If you're stealing, then they just want to hurt you.
I think maybe it's like if everybody's going through a hard time and you steal from someone,
It's just gonna make them have a hard time too. Yeah,
because like you know how the economy is super bad right now, and then if you steal from someone who's like struggling, then
yeah, it's bad. And like formula, they still prosecute you even if you're stealing formula. So
I doubt is so. Have you seen like some of these stores right now? Like to get anything is all locked up, and it's like baby food. I don't know.
I literally seen a thing about a mom the other day who got arrested for stealing only formula. That's all that she stole. Literally just trying to feed her baby. And formula is like $40 for one can. And
It
you
is
have to
not
have
cheap.
it. You can't just go without formula. You can't just starve your baby. But Gus goes through multiple cans of formula a week. So that's $40. I don't know, like that's a hundred and hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month. That is insane. Anywho, they sent a bulldog after her to try to kill her. Um, and during that time period, I guess they'd chop your hand off for stealing sometimes. So, like, I'm not entirely surprised. The dog runs after her, and then somehow, as word on the street, is that she kills the dog with a singular fatal blow. I don't know how that's possible. I
How
wrestled.
big was she?
That's what I'm
How big was
saying.
the
A
dog?
bulldog, though.
Those are tiny, right? They're like a French. She's French. A French
I
bulldog.
don't picture them sending a Frenchie after her to like kill her though.
But they also
Aren't
like
pit bulls like bulldog breeds too? It's like
they're
a
bully
whole.
breeds. It depends because there's the American bully, and that is different. Like there's
So
different
this dog could
branches.
have looked like anything, but if they're like being like sick 'em, like sending them on the girl in the orchard, then I feel like I can't picture like a French bulldog like
Probably not a
waddling its
French.
way over there,
Also, French
have a heart attack, snarling at her, trying to breathe.
they were healthier. We kind of ruined them by making them
Oh,
more smush. So maybe it would have been like a
during this
healthy.
time period,
'Cause yeah, it would
1731,
have been like a
yeah, it would have been a
healthy.
health. It probably would have been able to breathe, or maybe it wasn't, and then she just hit him right in his chest and just, or in his.
Maybe she started them not being able to breathe.
She hit it right in the snout and popped his snout in,
Oh my god.
and that's the origin story of French bulldogs.
I believe she could take them.
She sounds like kind of a hardcore gal, Marie Angelique. Okay, so again, I don't know if that's real or not, the singular blow. I don't know how that's possible. But then she takes off running into the woods after she kills the dog with a single blow. The villagers tried to capture her. They were eventually successful. She, of course, did not speak, but instead howled for communication. So again, that kind of makes me think maybe she was raised by wolves, but she's in the orchard eating apples. I don't know. She was taken to Chalons to be hospitalized and eventually baptized as Marie Angelique Memele Blanc. After her baptism, the doctors tried to civilize her and feed her cooked food, and she wasn't having it. She didn't like it. Supposedly, they could tell that she had only been eating raw meat because after they did make her eat cooked food, all of her teeth fell out.
So she just didn't have the capability for.
So that threw me for a loop. I did research, can your teeth fall out from eating cooked foods after only eating raw foods for some time? And the answer was no, but also yes. Raw food diets can be highly acidic, which can lead to enamel erosion.
Aren't there people who do like
Who
just.
do only raw foods? Yes. So that's what confused me. So if your diet consists of a lot of fruit, nuts, and seeds, which I'm sure she also ate other things in the wild aside from raw meat, like she ate apples. So I mean, I guess it's plausible. I don't know, but you'd also need to take into consideration how rough it is on your teeth constantly chewing hard or raw foods,
Mhm.
hard or raw meat, and how it would wear your teeth down over time. But the thing that I think maybe comes into play is bacteria buildup. I don't know though. I don't know because people do it now without all their teeth falling out.
Yeah. But maybe she just teeth falling out could be um deficiencies? Did
Yeah,
she have a
some
deficiency?
kind of deficiency. A deficiency makes more sense to me. Like, I don't think eating foods in the wild is gonna cause a lot of bacteria buildup because dogs have clean teeth in the wild when they eat raw
I
meat.
think it had to be a deficiency because people have had their teeth fall out during pregnancy when even if they have calcium, like the baby takes the calcium from them, so they lose their
Literal
teeth.
parasites suck you dry.
This was the 1700s. I would bet it was a vitamin deficiency and they just didn't know.
And they're like, "Oh, it must be because she ate raw meat. Because what else could it be?" So we've debunked the teeth thing. She did learn to speak French. She was taken in as a member of high society. So, like they said, rags to riches, they meant it. She was given an allowance by a duke to explore Europe. I want to be given an allowance by a duke to explore Europe. At one point in time, she apparently tried to become a nun before deciding it wasn't her vibe.
Me too,
Me and
girl.
Gabby, too, have tried becoming nuns before deciding it was not our vibe. After the Duke died in 1752, she was left with no money, but that did not stop her. She was able to find other patrons to accommodate her needs from all the wealthy connections that she had made through her minglings with noble society. So she was in there. She was one of them. When she died in 1775 at the age of 63, she had built herself like her self wealth. She wasn't getting it off of a duke or off other nobles. She herself was a rich gal. She enjoyed the finer things in life, like a silk robe, some velvet clothing, but it is said that she always had this certain wildness quality about her in her looks for her entire life.
I like that, actually.
I like her. Like, she killed a dog with a punch. She took advantage of high society. A duke, I guess, fancied her enough or was curious about her enough that he gave her an allowance to travel.
Not now, Moonbeam.
She's just a little girl. A biographer named Marie Catherine Homacel Hequiet published published a book called An Account of a Savage Girl. Through discussions with Marie Angelique, like she actually talked to Marie Angelique when she made the book. She discusses her origins and how she became a feral child. She was a Native American girl who was painted black and sold as a slave at the young age of 7 in Wisconsin.
So that's how she ended up? What?
Yeah. So she ended up in France. She was sold to a French woman in Wisconsin and was put aboard a ship to France. The ship then shipwrecked, where she and another girl were washed ashore. So she wasn't always alone. They survived together. They ate raw squirrels, foxes, rabbits, stole apples, etc. At some point, they became separated from each other, and then Marie Angelique was captured.
So she was a native
That's
so
that's her story. She lived in Wisconsin, I think.
then sold to
Native American, was
French.
painted black, sold as a slave. That's what she said.
That is wild. Now I do believe she did punch the dog.
If all of that's true, and like that's her origin story, like shipwrecked. So sold, shipwrecked, living in the wild, had someone with her. That's also sad that they got separated because I'm sure that'd be a very big bonding experience being shipwrecked together and then get separated, captured. I'm very glad for her that she ended up being a member of high society and spoiled in her fine silks, and she was probably eating beef tartare.
She was, probably.
Next up, Daniel the Andes goat boy. So there's not a lot of information I could find about Daniel the goat boy, but I did want to include him because it's a goat. And, we've been talking about wolves and monkeys. We have not, and dogs, but we haven't talked about a goat. So he was found in Andes, Peru in 1990 around the age of 12, and he had supposedly been living with wild goats for 8 years. He survived off of eating roots, berries, and drinking goat's milk. Which is it goats that they say is most closely related to breast milk, like human breast milk?
I think so.
Yeah, because I think that sometimes there's goat's milk baby formula. So that's what he had been living off of. He was very good at navigating the rocky terrain of the area, just like the goats were. He had essentially zero human language skills, but was able to communicate with the other goats. And that's something I think is really interesting too, is they're able to build up communication with the animals that they're with. Like, I wonder how good that stems from. Like, I wonder if they're able to communicate, I'm hungry, or I have a bellyache, or how far does that go? You know, is it with their eyes? Is it grunts?
I feel like how he communicated to the goat.
Yeah, like he's able to communicate. Is it head,
Yeah, it definitely. He's like, you ever watch
headbutts?
like a goat baby when it wants milk? It just headbutts the
Cows
mom.
do that
They just
too. They
walk
just
on up there.
headbutt the nipple. But like, how far? I just wonder how far the line of communication goes. Like, are you only able to communicate like I'm cold, I'm hungry, or could you be able to communicate? This is nice weather we're having today.
The goat can't process that, so he wouldn't have to communicate it to the goat. Like, he won't be able to be like, my favorite color is purple. you know?
But I don't know.
I feel like it'd be like necessary communications only.
I don't know. You don't think mama goats and babies talk and they just talk about their day?
I don't have enough whimsy. I don't think so. Like, surely the mom would know it's having a bad day because, like,
The baby'd be pissed. I
right.
don't know.
But I'm sure she won't know the complexity of the emotions of
I don't
the
know.
day.
It just made me wonder, like, it says that they were able to communicate. How so?
Listen, guys, while Brenna was talking, she broke the computer. So
While I was talking,
she's going to try to figure out where she was, but we know how that goes.
I really jeffed it up.
Jeff. The did Jeff do? I mean, the bleep did Jeff do?
My art teacher, we're going to have to cut out a lot of my cursing that I've done in this. My art teacher in high school, we're going to have to cut this out too.
Put it in Patreon.
My art teacher in high school used to say I really jeffed up. I don't know why. Like, is that a saying? Where did he get that from? Okay, so we were talking about when I so rudely broke the computer, we were talking about a goat boy named Daniel.
You basically were talking about how the goat communicates, and I said it would be essential communication only, and you said no.
No, I was like, they'd probably talk about the weather. That's where we were at.
They won't talk about the weather. The goat just cares, is it raining? Find shelter. I feel like that's the most they care about. They're not going to be like, I wonder what the projected forecast for next Tuesday is.
Goats, they do play on things. They'll jump on a building and they go, parkour.
I had a mother goat and her kid goat as my pets, and
you
let
know
me
more
tell you,
than I do.
they're morons. They will eat the thing that is deadliest and be like, this
I
is
take
fine.
back everything I have said.
I just feel like if any animal could talk, the only thing a goat would say is like mischievous like things.
And they got creepy eyes. Has nothing to do with anything about them. But you look in their eyes. And then Philip the goat, Black Phillip from the movie The Witch, he got fired and they had to replace him with another Philip goat because he was hurting everybody.
Happens. That sounds like a goat.
So he was given his name by a group who was studying him from Kansas State University and Kansas University. Daniel, his name. And I saw another source that said the boy's hands and feet were hardened like hooves from the time that he spent on all fours. And honestly, all the sources that I have for Daniel the Goat Boy were very poor sources, poor information, not very trustworthy. We don't even know if he's alive today. We don't know if he learned how to speak. All we know that is he existed and he was raised by goats. Do with that what you will. I will say that it does make sense that his hands and feet became calloused because of course they would, because if you're walking on rocks all the time.
Yeah.
So next up on our list is Amala and Kamala. So as far as Amala and Kamala go, I originally put a question mark beside their names while researching because again, we do not know for sure if they're even real or not. Along with the next two that we're going to talk about after Amala and Kamala. I'm going to mention them regardless because I feel like they're worth an honorable mention. They are two girls who were supposedly raised by wolves. I say supposedly a lot through this. We might have to chop out some of those supposedlys. Anyways, they were found in 1920 from local villagers of Gadamuri. At first, they were suspected to be Manush Baga, which is Bengali for ghost-headed, man-bodied beasts. I almost feel like that's a little mean.
A little. Tad.
Like, there's just these two feral girls, and they're like, "No, sorry, that's gotta be a ghost-headed, man-bodied beast." Poor girls. There was a reverend named J.A.L. Singh, who wanted to get rid of these rumors circling the town. So he got together a group of men to go into the jungle and find these beasts. Their words, not mine. These two hideous-looking beings that they were going to find. The girls were curling up beside a group of wolf pups in an anthill mound. So he gets the girls and then he takes them to an orphanage he owns, and he names them Amala and Kamala, with Kamala being the eldest of the two. He kept a log of the girls' behaviors, such as walking on all fours, howling at midnight, etc. And then the story gets sad, because a year after returning to human society, Amala dies. So Singh wrote about her death. Kamala shed tears. A drop from each eye was seen trickling down her cheeks. Only at the time when Amala breathed her last, on the early morning of Wednesday, the 21st of September, 1921. Beyond this, emotional faculties were dormant and not appreciable. End quote.
So they didn't show any emotion till that one tear?
A drop from each eye trickling down as her sister died. After her sister's death, Kamala would stare at a wall and refuse to eat for 3 years. She did eventually learn to speak full words, but never fully adapted into society. Again, this story is highly debatable because it relies solely on accounts of Singh and cannot be proven. But either way, it's sad. So the only proof comes from him, but
Do we trust it?
I don't know. According to the internet sources, no. Not a lot of people trust him. I don't know why. But
I mean, it is a little bit, you know?
it's a little
I don't know.
makes you go,
I don't
huh.
know.
All right. So, last but not least on our list, Romulus and Remus. Have you all heard about them? Gab had when I mentioned their names.
Yeah, they're Rome.
Yeah. I had never heard of them before.
They founded it, I'm sure.
The founders of Rome. Romulus and Remus are very much a myth from Roman mythology. It's a story of twin brothers who founded the city of Rome. They were born to the god Mars and Rhea Silvia, a Vestal virgin. The twins were abandoned shortly after their birth and nursed from a she-wolf. See, I told you that from newborns they can just find a wolf and suckle.
I just feel like wolf milk nutritious to humans? I don't.
Give it a Google.
Is wolf milk nutritious to humans? Why are we talking about cow's milk, Siri? Yeah. I'll be right back.
All right, we're going to keep going while Gab is googing. That sounded gross. While Gab is Googling, we're going to get back to our story. So the twins were abandoned after birth and nursed from a she-wolf. So later in life, they were taken in and raised by a shepherd whose name was Faustulus. This legend is all over the place, and I'm sure I'm slaughtering it in so many ways. But they find out that they have royal lineage, and then they overthrow the tyrant Amulius. Did you find out about the milk?
I did.
What is it?
So wolf's milk, actual milk from a wolf, is generally not considered suitable or commonly nutritious for human consumption, as it's highly specialized for wolf pups, being higher in protein and lower in fat compared to domesticated animal milks. While chemically similar to dog milk, it's not a viable or safe dairy source for humans. So I don't think it would have what babies need.
So probably a baby would die if it did suckle from the teat of a she-wolf.
It definitely have some nutrition problems.
But when it says she-wolf, does it mean a female wolf or does it mean half wolf, half human lady in this legend? You know?
Fair enough.
It says she-wolf. Maybe she's got...
But I think it's like, okay, so it says literally a female wolf, but metaphorically represents a powerful, independent, and often fierce or predatory woman.
Okay, but so it was a female wolf. Okay. So we're finding some holes in the story of who created Rome already.
Just a few holes, you know.
Just a few holes.
Also, Rome wasn't real. So that is the biggest plot hole of all. You haven't seen that?
No.
Oh, back in like 2021, I think there was a lady that was like, Rome isn't real.
Oh my God. Aiden, Lure Lodge.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm also researching an episode on the Cabbage Patch incubator babies, but it led me into a bunch of other theories that have to do with Tartaria, which led me to Aiden, which now I'm afraid to mention Tartaria because of Aiden.
I'll tell Aiden to be nice to you when he rips Tartaria apart.
But in the intro of his Tartaria video, he literally is talking about, yeah, that lady that said Rome isn't real. So
that was huge. And he fought with her like for months
never even
on
heard of
TikTok. It was a wild time on the internet.
how did I miss that? I wasn't there for that. But anyways, no one can argue about who created Rome. This right here is going to shut that lady down so fast. So, they overthrow the tyrant Amulius. They restore their grandfather Numitor to power somehow. I don't know how. But then the story gets dark because all of these haven't been dark enough yet. So, Romulus kills Remus after they get into an argument. Why do old fables always have a brother killing a brother? Always. Always a brother.
Boys will be boys.
With
Sorry.
with rocks, like Cain and Abel. I don't know. Anyhow, they restored grandfather. One brother killed the other brother. He kills Remus. He establishes Rome, but then he runs into the problem of how to populate it. So of course he has to resort to kidnapping a bunch of women. Did you know all about this beforehand?
Yeah. Well, because it's
it's common knowledge.
They be yapping
it's
about
not
it.
Common knowledge to me. So there's some sort of kind of like military conflict to try to get the women back, but then the women decide that they want to stay with their new Roman husbands. Romulus ends up disappearing. It's this whole ordeal. But my point of including it is that the twins were famous for an image of them sucking on a wolf's titty. And I wanted to include it to show that children raised by wolves and other wild animals are shown all throughout history. It's nothing new.
I only knew about that because I'm married to
a historian.
He doesn't shut up about Rome or Greece or
Romulus,
Egypt or
Remus, wolf titty.
anything.
I got an image of them sucking on the she-wolf too. We'll include it in the video if we
Amazing.
can. If we can for legality reasons. I'm just kidding. I feel like we can.
I feel like they wouldn't mind. YouTube,
I'm not hip
it's
with
like
the times.
It's not even a real wolf. Also, our wolf boobs all of a sudden.
Can they even be censored?
No, they're. It's fine.
All right. So the conclusion to this whirlwind of episode is that the majority of these cases we see with feral children, they're not whimsical at all like I thought they would be. They're just neglected children who suffered from like very terrible child abuse and then fled the situation.
That's depressing.
It's super depressing. So I also found other stories about children being raised by monkeys, chickens, leopards, bears, gazelles, and even ostriches. But many of these had like zero sources for me to even run with slightly. So
ostriches. That's not even.
None of them seemed like they were legit. But not to say that it didn't happen. Just that there's not enough information for me to go with it. Word of mouth and hearsay. Moral of the story is that dogs are man's best friend, and we don't deserve them. That's it. That's all I got from this. Is that humans suck and dogs are man's best friend. Oh, also that children are like really resilient.
Yeah, that's like big. That's why when people are freaking out, like the world's best moms are always freaking out whether they're a bad mom or not, and I'm like, I assure you, the fact that you're freaking out means you're not, because some people lock their kids in sheds with dogs. So
they do.
But anyway, let's go to Patreon, because I need to know if we would survive being shipwrecked, because we did kind of touch on this, and you'll probably splice it in here at some point. But
yeah.
And with that, we'll leave you here, folks.
With that, yep.
Patreon is gonna be a mosh pod. It's gonna be a whole bunch of stuff.
It's gonna be a lot. We're gonna get a lot more weird and fun with this. Still science and still, mystery, but weird and fun.
Yeah. And we just wanted to be more relaxed because I feel like last time it
Yeah.
was a lot of pressure to
It
be
was. It was a
perfect.
lot of pressure, a lot of research. We're still gonna have a lot of research, obviously, but
We're also gonna just do Patreon for fun because
yeah.
I think
We want you all to like us for us, not because of the information we give you.
you can also like
I'm
my
just
information.
kidding. I'm just kidding. No,
Bye.
bye.